You are my sunshine, my only sunshine. You make me happy when skies are gray. You'll never know, dear, how much I love you. Please don't take my sunshine away. That's kind of how I feel about public speaking. It is my sunshine. It's also a song used in the movie Oh Brother, Where Art Thou? What does that have to do with informative speaking or speaking to inform? Chapter 15 in Dr. Stephen Lucas's The Art of Public Speaking. Well, as Dr. Heidi, I was on a panel a couple of years ago, and we had a discussion about whether there was actually such a thing as speaking to inform. If you could just give an informative speech that was not also a persuasive speech. And I got to thinking, if I was going to give a presentation about the movie Oh Brother, Where Art Thou?, I would probably just be speaking to inform. I would not necessarily be convincing you to watch the movie because it was not one of my favorites. Could I convince you not to watch the movie? Absolutely. I, however, am analyzing my audience, and I do not intend to offend any of you by talking about the movie Oh Brother, Where Art Thou? So let's get a move on talking about informative speaking. Informative speeches are designed to convey knowledge and understanding. They are not intended to be persuasive of any sort. There are a couple of different types of informative speeches, 4 of which are mentioned here. Speeches about objects, speeches about processes, speeches about events, and speeches about concepts. Speeches about objects are speeches about anything that is visible, tangible, and in stable form. An object speech example would include the specific purpose to inform my audience about the geographical regions of the Mississippi River. In fact, I have friends who are born north, east, south, and west of the Mississippi. Figure that one out. The central idea would be that the Mississippi River is divided into 3 sections, each with its own unique features, including the part in Minnesota where it's just a tiny little, almost a tiny little creek, if you ask me. An object speech example, as we go into the main points, the Upper Mississippi is known for its scenic parks and system of dams and locks. The Middle Mississippi is known for its wildlife refuges and fishing opportunities. The Lower Mississippi is known for its heavy river traffic and connection to the Gulf of Mexico. A process speech is a systematic series of actions leading to a specific result. This is the type of informative speech that my students are giving, a demonstrative process speech. They're showing us the steps of a process or a procedure using appropriate presentational aids. Here's a process speech example to inform my audience of the common methods used by stage magicians to perform their tricks. Stage musicians use 2 common methods to perform their tricks: mechanical devices and sleight of hand. Here are the 2 main points. Of course, I would like 3 main points, but sometimes in a process speech that's difficult. But many of the magic tricks rely on mechanical devices that may require little skill by the magician. Other magic tricks depend on the magician's skill in fooling people by sleight of hand manipulation. I might also include, if this is an informative speech, if we're going to talk about the steps of a process or a procedure, I might also include the history of magic and its importance to the audience. An event. Giving a speech about an event is anything that happens or is regarded as happening. An example would be a specific purpose to inform my audience about 3 aspects of Japan's Aben Festival. Japan's Aben Festival is famous for its lanterns, historic dances, and graveside gatherings. Now, I actually may be saying that word wrong, OBON, because I am not familiar with this event. However, I went ahead and said it the way that I thought it should be said, and just went with it. I didn't stop, I didn't stutter, I didn't apologize. I just went with the way that I thought it should be said. If I said it incorrectly, someone will probably correct me after the speech. To avoid that, I might do research on how to say that word prior to beginning the speech. That way, we know if I am saying the word incorrectly. So how do I do research? Come on, there's translates online everywhere. You can just click that little volume button and it will tell you how to say it. Or you can ask people who know how to speak Japanese. The event speech has 3 main points. Paper lanterns are hung outside of homes to guide the spirits of the departed family members. Historic dances are performed in public areas with special music and choreography. And graveside gatherings are held by families to maintain the burial sites of their ancestors. A speech about a concept is about a belief, theory, idea, notion, or principle. It can be about other things that are considered concepts. A concept speech example is to inform my audience about the basic principles of nonviolent resistance. That's the specific purpose. The central idea is the basic principles of nonviolent resistance stress using moral means to achieve social change, refusing to inflict violence on one's enemies, and using suffering as a social force. The first major principle of nonviolent resistance is that social change must be achieved by moral means. The second major principle of nonviolent resistance is that one should not inflict violence on one's enemies. And then the third major principle of nonviolent resistance is that suffering can be a powerful social force. When you are giving an informative speech, follow these informative speaking guidelines. Do not overestimate what the audience knows. Explain information in the simplest terms possible. Relate the subject to the audience. Don't be too technical. If the audience knows something about your topic, you can be a little more technical, but don't be overly technical, or you will bore the people in your audience even if they know what you're talking about. Avoid abstractions. Try not to use terms like, this is really awesome, this is really cool. Unless you're talking about temperature, we don't know exactly what those things mean. You want to personalize your ideas. Again, remember, narratives, examples, and testimonies are very powerful tools when giving a speech. And be creative. Have fun. Help people to use vivid imagery and visualize exactly what you're talking about.
As represented in this slide.
I would not say that. I wouldn't say as represented in this slide. Be a little bit more creative. And then, of course, Dr. Lucas gives a sample speech, just like I am giving here, at least a little bit of a sample speech. Although speaking and teaching are different, but that's another story for another day. So, I hope you are my sunshine and that you learned how to just give informative speeches.